Welcome back, friends. What will we break today? Let's go with the right cam. It sucks, man. We are definitely getting another Logitech cam for this camera here. It's Microsoft Life Cam HD 3000, and it's about as far from HD as you get. It's pretty disappointing. HD. Of course, we're not going to start switching cameras and showing you. Let's get into today's repair. Welcome back anyhow, OpenHours. How's everybody doing? I'm going to start getting some interaction in the chat. Talk to me. I could open up my Discord, have it running, if people use Discord. Okay, so can we get enough view on that there? Let's get the side panel removed from this first. Today is a Dell Inspiron 3847. Come on, kitty, get with the program. Okay. Here's our side cover. We'll get that out of the way. And we have issues unknown with this. I think they tried turning it on, and then it didn't turn on. And it's something they only turned on like seasonal, I think. If I'm not mistaken, this is a seasonal computer. Let's go ahead. I'm going to flip it down for a moment. I don't have any mouse pads there, so we're not going to be sliding and scraping it all around. Now, let me show you this. So there's not much dust buildup on the actual heatsink for the processor. However, we do have all of these. Focus camera. So all of those, which are pretty clogged up with dust, if you can see that. I always try to show it close up, and it'll focus for a second, and then it just phases back out. It'll catch something in the background. So basically all of those are like that. And then we have this little spring shield that's underneath it, which I'm actually going to get rid of it. If it'll pull out of there. It may not. It may be rusted in. Before we slice our fingers on rusty metal, let's get a screwdriver. We'll attempt to do this slightly different. This little shield here that I am attempting to remove, actually, okay, we'll go ahead and remove it like that, and then this will pull out. Anybody that's ever seen these, you can usually pull them right out of a computer. It's not rusty like that. That is shiny, stinkless steel, or maybe not stinkless steel, shiny steel, tin, super shiny, like almost a mirror finish tin. That's the first one of those I've ever seen that was almost completely rusted It's going to hit the garbage. That will not leave the shop with that in there. It does have, they just have these little perforated parts that are pushed out, kind of like spring. They act as like a spring mechanism for your PCI, for your expansion cards, PCI Express and PCI Express 1X PCI slot, which is missing from this motherboard. So it's a partial cut corner job. Not too bad though, honestly. This is one of the better built Dells from who knows when. We'll have to check. 30, what did I say? 3847. So that's what generation Inspiron it is. We'll go ahead and clip our expansion card lockdown plate is back together now. Where'd it go? So before we get too much involved in this, let's brush these off. And there, just real quick again, see if we can show what that looks like. Yeah, there's no way to get this thing to focus up close. There, boom, you get a quick look and then it always fades out. Fades out, that camera's lens. It caught something, look. You try to get it to focus and it catches something off in the background, like over here, that it wants to focus on rather than what's right in front of it. Slightly clean, so I'm just looking at the motherboard. We don't have any apparent pop capacitors. That's one thing I usually try to do when looking something over before I get it up on the bench, is take a look. Pull the side cover, take a look inside. If you see some blown capacitors and then you try turning it on, it doesn't want to even boot up, pretty good clue that could be the problem, but not always. There's boards that will run. My friend Matt, one time, he had a board, I don't know how many years he ran that thing with blown capacitors. And it would just go and go and go. I don't know that it ever did die, and if it did, I think it was due to like a power surge. So, alright, Dell. You're a little less of a loser. We got that dirt off of it. It can feel better about itself. What do you say we get some power hooked up? First, let's take a look, see. What are we working with? DDR3? DDR3, so what, 3rd or 4th gen? Maybe 5th at best. Intel? Inspiron, let's take a look. Let's take a look. And there it goes again. Capturing the wrong display. I'm not about that. Come on, OBS, get with the program. We're on this display. I said, what, 3847 specs? These are probably, you could get them built to different standards. So 4th gen, it looks like. It's got a Core i3 sticker on the front. So more than likely, we're looking at this here, the 3847 mid-tower Core i3 4130, 3.4 gigahertz, 4 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte hard drive. And we could verify it is a 1 terabyte. And I do believe that is 4 gigs of RAM. So that's our model right there. That's the culprit. What we're looking at, what we're working on. Well, you can buy one, who knows what shape, for $41.70, 4 gig, 250, $124.99. Not bad. What did CNET have to say about it? Do we have a date of when this is from? We can post a comment on it, but there's not. There we go. Alright. Give me a date of when this was published, people. No actual date for the article. So what are they doing? Just kind of housing the info here? Reviews. When was this thing released? Can we get that info? I probably passed it. It's quarter whatever. Quarter 2, quarter 3 of whatever year. None. Alright, curiosity over. Let's hop back over to the actual computer. We're going to get it hooked up and see what is the issue. Do we have power? No power. How will this thing laugh at us today? Power cord. Does have HDMI on board. However, we've got no PS2, so let's grab an adapter. It's probably going to be a nightmare. We'll have to get our wireless mouse and keyboard anyhow. Anybody that has never used the two PS2 mouse and keyboard to one USB adapter, you'll notice sometimes they do work marvelous, and other times the mouse will work. You boot it, restart it. Next time that the computer starts up with it plugged in, only the keyboards work and no mouse. So if you're going to use a mouse and keyboard PS2, two PS2 to one USB, have something else on standby, like a mouse and keyboard, because you're probably, unless there's like some brand name one out there that just is magic and works every time, which I don't think there is, but okay. We actually need to rotate this thing a little. And if we can't get it to boot, we'll send the display out to OBS for everyone out there on the line. Okay, what's it gonna do? Oh, let's get the power plugged in and find out. Okay, so if I'm not mistaken, unless it is the XPSs that have the light on the motherboard, there's usually a light on the motherboard for these. We have spin up, but spin up for how long? Nobody knows. It is recognizing our channel 2 on the KVM, but is not outputting any display as of yet. It could be set that they were using HDMI or some other and we are on our HDMI 2. We got a little not support there, so let's go ahead and plug our HDMI cable direct to the TV in and see if that is going to make a difference. More than likely not. I'm saying that they didn't use HDMI because I don't think anything's ever been plugged into this port. It's pretty gritty and rough. We do have fan spin, but it appears that we're not actually getting fan spin. So dead motherboard, bad memory. Let the diagnostics begin, people. We're going to do that. Real quick here, we're going to power it down again. Okay, so our power button is blinking. Alright, it's going to take a few moments to look this up. Stick with me. I'm going to look up power button blink codes, if that's even a thing. Right. Do we have Oh, okay, yeah, we do have audio. Never mind. I guess I did mute it up. Okay, so thoughts. A blinking power supply light can point to a bad power supply. However, let's switch that. The let's show it. I'll actually show it. We're gonna have to lift this up a little bit. Let's go back here for a moment. When we turn it on, see that amber power supply light? Let's try and get the light glare off of it. Now, there's a post online, one or two, about it blinking 3 times pointed to a bad power supply. And in this case, I don't think it's a power supply. I'm fairly certain it's something else. Let's go ahead, we'll pull power to it. Just quickly, I'm going to grab our power supply tester. I know they have this little test light on the back, but we had one that would not boot a computer, even though the test light tested good. And also, putting on a power supply tester tested good. It just would not boot the system. It does have a burn up smell in here, so we could have perhaps a pinched wire, a short somewhere, who knows. There is definitely getting closer to it. There's that burnt electronic smell coming from the actual computer. So get out of there, you. We're going to unlace these wires a little bit. There's that. Look at that for a Dell power supply. You have 4 SATA, 12-volt rail. So not a bad system, but not a great. Look at this. You physically have 2 SATA ports to get down to your 2 hard drives. 2 more SATA ports, SATA power. 4 dual CD-ROM drives. You got your 24 pin, and then you have your actual 12-volt rail that is a wow. And it's super short. That's like the shortest little 12-volt rail I think I've ever seen, other than other similar Dells. So yeah, it is what it is. Let's get this plugged into a tester. Even though a lot of people say they don't trust these, this is a place to get an idea, basically, before you run down other roads. Some people just don't like them, don't test them, because they will give you, I just had like a hiccup, half hiccup, half, what would that be? Almost a cough. So yeah, that would indeed go on there like so. And we don't have a way to plug in our Molex wire over here, so we should be missing wires. But let's see what lights we can get with just our 24 pin SATA power and our 12-volt rail. Okay, so everything is lighting except for our one, and this is a burnout light. So all of our power rails are there. In this case, the computer is good, or the power supply is good. It's more than likely it's the motherboard. Just to be 100% sure, we're going to pull some RAM and see if it starts with 1 stick of RAM. Then we'll try the other. And if that don't work, we'll try even further. We'll use a different stick of RAM. Where is that awesome? Right there it is. We'll reroute this cable later. For now, we're just getting it plugged in. It's not going to hit a fan or be in the way anywhere. Shouldn't be, so completely fine to flip and flop around a little bit. Let's get our monitors unplugged. We're going to go back to the KVM now. Monitor unplugged. Let's pull one stick of RAM and the other. We're going to take the one that was in the other slot and insert by itself. Let's see if we can get a post. Okay, so already we have a white light on the front of the tower. We have a Dell logo. Oh, so this must have had an upgrade, perhaps? Yes, so it's running two, what appears to be 8 gigs, two 4 gig sticks of DDR3. Hard disk drive failure. Really? So it could be potentially a motherboard issue. Let's hit F2 to run setup. If it don't like that, we'll get our Dell wired keyboard out. Such is the case with the USB or PS2 KVM. Go ahead and move this. Wow, those are all super speed ports except the one. Let's give it one more uncoil. We got both our flippers? We do. Okay. F2 should be our setup utility. Okay. Let's go ahead and try and run this out to duplicate. We'll try and duplicate it out to the cam link and send it into OBS. Do we have anything? What do we got? We got nothing. Let's deactivate and activate device default. And as far as I know, we still got nothing. Yeah, it's not even pulling from the HDMI port currently. Plugging, unplugging, did nothing. So let's go ahead. Let's do this. We'll unplug this. I'm going to do Control-Alt-Delete and F2 to try to get back to setup. Okay. So we're not, like I thought, we're not even feeding the cam link a signal. We have the signal, it's just not picking it up. No power, no power. For some reason, yeah, this does not dig sending video out HDMI. Okay, so what is possibly a failure here? We're going to go ahead and power down, power back up, and we got to go with our monitor, I guess. So let's hit our F2. We will see if our cam link comes on. Alright, we're heading into setup. Yep, no power to the cam link, so no surprise. It powers on, doesn't pull any video, blinks, and powers back down. So once we get it booted up to a desktop, we can see, though, moving more to the point, we can see there's our KVM monitor, so not really any good for all intents and purposes. We can see that our 4 gig of RAM is testing. Taking a further look, this processor, oh, what did they have disabled? Limit CPU ID, USB is good, onboard device, Intel multi-display. Let's enable that and see if we can get the video out the HDMI port to the cam link. Secure boot enabled. We're going to check the hard disk drive. It should be drives, not drivers. Well, okay. Keyboard errors. Back to the start, and I see no. Okay. SATA. We have a 1 terabyte drive, SATA 0, SATA 1, 2, and, whoa. SATA 1 and 3 are both empty. SATA 2 has our DVD writer. So let's save our changes. We have the video enabled. And let's go right back into setup as this restarts. We're going to really try and pull up. Yeah. Activate. Deactivate. Activate. Yep, sorry friends. You're not getting BIOS video today. I always try a few times and waste some time. You know, I give it its fair shot to get in there. Alright, let's get this system booted. For now though, since we got in here, let's go ahead, we're going to save changes and exit. Yes, and we're going to pull the power right away. Hit our power button. Let's try putting this other suspected stick of RAM that was bad in here, back in. Let's try our boot process. Can we get the setup with the bad stick of RAM? Okay, and we went from an amber light to a white light. And we're back in setup. We'll check our repair. Not that I think anything was going to work, even with the multi-display. But let's pull. Still not for the HDMI. Alright, fair enough. Fair enough, Dell, you win the battle for today. For today, you've won. But now we have no display on either. Really? Let's go back here. We're going to restart this yet again. And just let it boot up and see what happens. I don't know why we got a hard drive failure, unless it just didn't detect it. Alright, now. All we have is the video from the webcam. We don't have the actual video from the computer. It's over on the KVM, so we're going to get this booted in. It appears to be booting with all 4 gigs of RAM. Maybe we could have gotten the same results by pulling the CMOS battery. Just pulling the RAM reinsert and it seemed to work. So the power supply is good. Motherboard appears good. But we had that one rogue little error about hard drive failure, and it couldn't detect the hard drive. So it could be an aging going back bad motherboard. We'll go ahead. I'm going to switch off this till I see that we don't have a username up. And do they got this thing passworded? What is the scoop? Does enter get us in? Ooh, okay. We do have some USB here. Let's get our keyboard and mouse pulled up. Our wireless mouse and keyboard queued up on deck to go into action. We're putting you in the game, kids. Get with the program. You're going in. We can move this now. Let me check, just let me go over here and check this screen real quick to make sure. Okay, I don't think there's anything. No. So as of now, there's nothing there. Alright. Display settings, we're going to try and clone it. Or clone it, duplicate it, I guess is the proper word. Alright, let's go down, multiple displays, detect. Now OBS is laughing at us over here. Sure. Let's hit OK. There we go. Okay, so we are, in a sense, I think, duplicated. Let's go ahead, go back on the computer here and check. Now you're looking, okay. So it's definitely pulling. We're going to duplicate them. Keep the changes. So now we're duplicated. I was just in the display properties trying to get it going. Boy, hopefully this don't throw info out. No, let's go to system info. Windows is good. It is detecting the 8 gigs as seen here and a 4160 i3. So yeah, not bad. Other than that, I don't know what the actual issue could be. We will go ahead. We'll run an Intel burn test on it to make sure that's stable. Other than that, I don't think there is any actual issues. I think it just was not starting up was the issue. That's what I had at first anyways, until we dug a little deeper and attempted to boot. reinserting the RAM. That could be one thing. I'm going to give them a call and find out what their actual issue was quick. It's 4:16, so give me a moment. As usual. Alright. Alright, monkeys. So they had the same problem. They tried starting it up and just talked to the master of this computer. And they said it was booting up with the orange power button. However, where it was different is they could not get it to boot anything other than the orange power button. So just for reference, we've got my computer over there. See, we're running to the YouTube live stream, and then we've got the repair computer, which is here. So we definitely have it booted up. It's on, and then going one further. See, that is our KVM, our computer to the KVM to the monitor. Boom. So very good. It actually is working. I say, what do? We can do a RAM test. We need to do something where it's going to get to the motherboard. Because if it wasn't reading RAM and then it had a hard drive read failure, let's go into the Dell diagnostics. I think that is truly the way to do it. We'll go ahead and shut this guy down quick. Alt F4. Let's see if we can get the BIOS to display. Actually, let's pull our duplicate monitor now. I'm not worried about fixing apps that are blurry. Thank you, though. Let's go ahead and shut down, and we're going to go in and try to see what we can do with the diagnostics menu in the Dell BIOS. That seems like an option, right? We need our USB keyboard back. Because the last thing we would want is for this thing to go back to the owner and boot up and have an orange light. So let's power it on, hammer on that F2 button. Okay, and there, now we have it going to OBS. Apologies if you can't hear the vacuum cleaner in the background also. The neighbor is vacuuming. Okay. So, this particular Dell does not like my wireless keyboard. We plugged and unplugged. There we go. Let's see if we can get it now. Of course we can. Save changes, security, power. I don't think we're going to have much for hardware diagnostics on a consumer computer. That's more or less on like the XPSs and the optiplexes, the more robust computers. So we don't want to clear the secure boot keys, but we do want. Okay, so there's no actual test inside the BIOS. We don't want to do that. We can save the changes and reset. I think it's going to be good. We'll just do a couple reboots for the rest of today. Nothing too exciting, nothing too extravagant. We'll switch back on here. Oh wait. This will go to repair. I kind of need that up. Unless it's going to do the dual monitor thing, which would be super awesome if it would. That way I can switch off of. No luck, Dell. Why do you not like me? Help me, people. Dell's out to get me. Save changes and reset, and we'll just flip back over here and see if it won't feed us a signal out to our monitor over there. Sure it will. So I'm going to do a couple reboots. I'm going to restart it now, get up to the login screen, shut it down, and try cold power on. And see. I suppose, no, because the battery's there. See, the battery's inside in these. The CMOS battery's there to keep its settings in that. Is it possible, just being a seasonal computer and not starting out, power drained off of it, and it just wouldn't start? Well, it wouldn't start repeatedly for them. So, aside from specialized hardware to test the actual motherboard, I mean, we can just do software tests. We can do mem test, we can do the Intel burn test on the processor, all that to see if it's running stable. It all appears stable so far. It's booted. Once we pulled the RAM, and I've had that be the problem before. I mean, maybe that computer died years later. I never heard about it, but pulling the RAM and putting it back in can be a fix sometimes, as dumb as that sounds. So, let's go ahead. We're going to give this a restart. Or no, shutdown. I said shutdown, correct? Let's do the shutdown on it. Shutdown anyway. And we will see if we can get cold boot out of it without it going orange. Did I hit restart? Am I the dummy that hit restart? No, okay. It did shut off. We're waiting. Complete spin down. Let's pull our power. We're going to hit power and drain off any residual power built up in the power supply. Plug it back in and hit our power button. And it went immediately from amber to white. So we've got the white power button, computer booting as normal. I'm going to call this one and say that it not booting, just pulling the RAM and putting it back in was the issue. To further it, I'm going to start a mem test, which I may need to make a live CD, spend my last few minutes today making a live CD. Unless I have do I have a Linux distro here somewhere? I do, I think. We'll check. Let's check on my computer. If I have a multi-boot USB, I'm going to throw that in, boot from it, and run the mem test. That's AutoCAD, so no good. Let's find, I think it's this one. Multi-boot it is. Okay, friends, we're going to insert a USB. pull our wireless mouse and keyboard. They will do no more service for us today. We have our hardwired mouse and keyboard. And let's start this mem test. Anybody that hasn't seen this, you could do it from a CD-ROM or a DVD if you download a Linux distribution and download that distro, and then would take and instead of installing Linux, installing Ubuntu. Some of the ones that should come with memtest, which would be most really, unless you're doing a custom distro, but say the big ones, Fedora, Ubuntu, Red Hat, if you have an old copy of that. I know some people bought that years ago. They might have it laying around, whatever. Don't use it on floppies, use it on CD or DVD. Or if you know how to make a USB installer, go about it that way as well. That will also work. We're going to go ahead and shut down the computer here. Or we'll restart, and we're going to hit our F12 key to get our boot devices menu. As soon as this restarts, we're going to flip over to the repair. Oh, it did come up, but it looks mighty goofy. That's with both plugged in. Okay. And I don't know that we're going to be able to boot this, so we're going to have to, let's change the boot mode setting. Let's go to legacy boot mode, secure boot off. We'll hit OK. Let's go with F12 again. Can't believe that pulled it out to the monitor and to Alright, it did, but it may freeze. Let's go for the ADATA USB flash drive. Get that, and we'll start our mem test. Linux distro. It is Ubuntu server, it's live CD, but we're going to look for mem test if it's on here. Test memory. Is it not? I didn't see what it said on there. What did it say? Test memory, press enter. I don't know if I have that option installed. Yeah. Check disk for defects. Advanced options. What are advanced? Back. Of course it is. Yeah, okay. Mem test isn't on here. We're going to look for our mem test disk quick and see if that is a thing. Or if we can find an old copy of Zorin, anything really, any old Linux distro on a disk. We'll boot from that if we have to. Data recovery, Windows 10, Windows 10 media creation, 8.1, 8.1.8.1. Okay, nothing of note in that stack. Let's go to this back stack. What do we have? Windows 8 startup, Family Feud, Nero 9, Memory Test x86. That is the disk that we want. Let's go ahead and power down. We want to power on. We're going to hit F12 as we open our USB door. Okay. Let's boot this from the DVD. Is it going to get it, or is it going to pull up? Okay, it seems like it is going to grab it. Just not for you. Amazing. Alright. Can we display it if we flip away and go back? No, you're stuck with no mem test. Anyhow, I thought I would do the mem test. To show everybody, it's just not going to show it. Basically, you get a screen where it's going to run through and test every bit of memory in your system block by block. Or bit by bit, I don't know. You get a readout of your system stats and how much RAM there is for the L1, L2, L3 cache, and what portion of the RAM it's testing. This is a freely available tool. Just look up memtest download, memtest x86 plus. I don't know if they make 64-bit version. I don't think it matters. I think it'll all test more than 4 gigs. I don't believe memtest is limited to the amount of RAM that your normal consumer is going to use. And just, where are you? That's kind of what it looks like. I know that's a bad thing, but you literally get a boring screen like that or a black screen with white letters, and it's going to run through and test all your memory. So, super boring, but it is what it is. We are at 4:32. I'm going to go ahead and clean up today and get out of here. We're running the mem test on this. I will probably stop back later tonight and do whatever hard drive test I can. It's a Seagate hard drive, so it seems like CTools will be what we'll run on that to test it. The power supply tested good. If there's no other issues, we are going to give this back to them with just a diagnostics fee, because that's basically what all we did was diagnose if there's anything wrong with it. There does not appear to be, other than the hard, like I said, it hadn't been started up in a while, and I don't know how many attempts they had at booting it. So we're going to test the hardware to the best of our abilities here. Memtest, CTools to test the hard drive. We'll do an Intel burn test, or maybe AIDA64 if that tests the processor. That's kind of like, what's the name of the one? CPU-Z? Is that one that, does that just give you specs? CPU ID, CPU software. Size time, real-time measurement each core is, okay, so it's a real, okay. Not what I was thinking of. AIDA64 may be the same thing. It does look like it has some diagnostics. Intel Cascade Lake benchmarks and fake NVIDIA VGA detection. 20 years old, AIDA64, amazing. Well, keep developing, people, what's out there. For now, I am getting out of here. Thank you for watching. We didn't do a whole lot. We just diagnosed the system that wasn't booting, and now it's booting, which, looking at it, there really wasn't much to it. Like I said, we literally pulled the RAM, pulled both sticks, swapped the stick from DIMM 2 over to DIMM 1, and the system booted. After that, we put the original DIMM 1 stick of RAM in DIMM 2, and it reads both, boots every time so far out of at least 3, I'm going to say 2 to 3 shutdowns and a few Control-Alt-Delete restarts from the boot device's screen, and a few restarts from Windows. It is booted every time once we got it booting. So did the RAM work its way loose? Yeah, that's a possibility. That does happen once in a while. You will have a slightly, no, I don't want to say loose, because it's not loose. It's in there tight. It looks good, but it's just worked its way out of the socket a little. That is definitely a possibility. So that's where we're at. We're going to test the hardware and get back to you tomorrow with what we come up with on this. Till then, have a good evening, a good afternoon, a good morning. Wherever you are, it's one of those. Enjoy it. Thank you, friends, for stopping by. Could I do it better? Sure. Type down below. Thumbs up. Thumbs down if it's necessary. Leave some comments if you want to. Yeah, I'm going to get out of here. Think about subscribing. I will see everyone tomorrow.